There's some information that I wanted to share with you. In fact, not only just Muslims, but everyone on the planet should know this information. I've actually talked about this on a website on Facebook that was for people to engage in biblical debates and conversations. And I brought up the topic that people that live in less religious and more secular societies are better off across the board. They have longer lives, they're happier, they have less crime, they have less teen pregnancies. Every demographic, every statistic that they could evaluate a society on showed that the less religious a society is, the better off it is. And this is contrary to what everyone who grows up in a religion believes. They think that their religion benefits them somehow, and not only in the afterlife, but in this life as well. What I find interesting is the very moment I brought this idea up, actually this fact up, it was disputed immediately without any thought. It was disputed and shot down. The people immediately said I was lying, that it couldn't be true. I took these people on their word, and then I said, well, because they were so confident in what they were saying, I naturally assumed that they knew what they were talking about, that I had gotten some wrong information. But then when they went on the internet and they did their own research to try to shore up what they were saying, they were trying to cherry pick a certain way of looking at the statistics in such a way to prove themselves right. But the very research that they were trying to use to prove themselves right and to prove me wrong actually proved me right and them wrong. Now, what I'm about to show you here is something that I've done before, and I found that it was really pretty interesting. But this time I wanted to actually record myself doing it to show that I'm not making this up, and I invite anyone to do this as well, and you can just follow the same steps I'm doing. Fortunately, the two maps that we're going to find on the internet, they can line up pretty accurately. They can line up on top of each other because it just so happens that they are the same kind of projection that is being used to produce this map. Now, whenever they make a map of the Earth, since the Earth is a ball, they have to have some kind of either conic or cylindrical projection or some other kind of methodology for showing how the world looks. And it just so happens that a map that you can find on the internet that shows what countries have the highest versus the lowest and lower IQs. Also, there's another map that shows the density of Muslim populations by percentage. And I use the map showing IQ levels because of something that Ibn Warq wrote about before and after 9/11. He's saying that Islam seems to have a way of, how should I put this? I think he said that it decreases or impedes the ability for people to develop critical thinking skills. So does religiosity actually make people less intelligent? Now, another thing I notice is that people that are inquisitive and they want to question reality and the things that they grow up in is actually good for a society and is good for our species. But in some strictly religious communities, that is actually looked on as a unforgivable sin to question the authority, and they kill off people that are intelligent, for lack of a better description. And over time, does that actually decrease IQ levels? So I wanted to see if this was actually true. So I made a map one time comparing the two, and unfortunately, with a little bit of nudging and tweaking, you could get the maps to line up on top of each other. And what I'm going to do now is actually make one map. See, one map is actually color-coded the opposite way that it should be. And so in a program like Paint.net, you can actually reverse the colors, make the image a negative, of like a photographic negative of itself. And so that makes the maps line up a lot more. And if you notice, and I can say this from experience, that whenever a faithful person is impacted by evidence that makes him question his faith or might make him question his faith, he'll naturally become defensive and they'll come up with some reason to try to denounce you. And I know these people probably better than they know themselves. And because of that, I can say that people are going to come back to me and say, well, you altered the colors to make it appear that what you were trying to propose was actually true. I'm not changing the data in any sense. I'm only changing how the data is presented. If a map shows, for instance, the IQ of the world from where black is the lowest IQ and white is the highest IQ, and I flip that around so that it is the white is the lowest and the black is the highest, that doesn't change the information or the facts. It's only changing how they are being presented. And it's necessary to do this because I want to compare the two maps. And just like changing the size of one map doesn't really change the map itself. I'm not going in country by country and physically altering each color of each country. That's not what I'm doing here. And this is why I'm recording the process itself, is to show you that you can actually go out and do it yourself. Now, I think at this point I'll tell you exactly where you can find these maps. On Wikipedia.org, you can find the Muslim map. It's called world_Muslim_population_map.png. The map showing Muslim population by percentage per country is actually done by Pew Research. Pew Research is a highly respected statistical analysis organization. It also exists on Wikipedia.org under something called Commons, and the file is Islam percent population in each nation world map Muslim data by Pew Research is another name that this image is under. The other map that shows average IQ by country was compiled by Lynn and Van Hanen, ourworldinData.org/intelligence. Now, in order to make any sense out of this, I think you have to have some amount of understanding of geography. I mean, you have to be able to look at a map and recognize where Africa is, where North Africa is, where Latin America is, where India and China and Russia are. Because this presentation shows that all the other religions are not off the proverbial hook. Because if you look at South America and Brazil, they have some dark spots when it comes to IQ as well. Because if you look at all these predominantly Catholic Latin America countries, you can see that there's a lot of dark area when it comes to IQ. And Argentina seems to be an exception because I think Argentina is more secular than the rest of Latin America. So this demonstration actually shows something a little embarrassing about Catholicism as well. This demonstration also doesn't reflect well on India. India is a pretty dark place on the IQ map as well. And that probably has something to do with the fact that India is the most religious country on earth. And if you notice, Southern Africa is not part of the Muslim world, but it also is a very religious area of other religions. And this makes the IQ map also dark. So even though this map reveals something about Islam, it also reveals something about religion in general. But it's important to notice a couple things. One is the fact that there is no light-colored area in the IQ chart that is a Muslim area. All the Muslim areas on Earth have low IQs. There isn't an exception to this general rule. Facts are very stubborn things. Facts don't care about what you want to believe or how you feel. And as a mature species, it is necessary that human beings change their views to match the facts rather than try to change the facts to match their views.